Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. I am here to hopefully clear something up. The last video I recorded, the title is Car Vlog Puzzle Rocket Joe. I talked about Joe and explained a little bit why you saw him in a video, a few videos before that, called Rocket's Taking a Nap. In Rocket's Taking a Nap, I took a picture of Joe sleeping with Rocket, next to Rocket. And, you know, I just put the picture in there. Thought it would be kind of a fun way to, you know, start to talk about Joe again. And, you know, that ruffled all kinds of feathers and started getting people to assume all kinds of things, right from it being an old picture or, you know, oh, glad you and Joe are still friends. I don't usually have a friend, man, sleeping in bed with no shirt on. You know, if we were just friends, maybe not. And you know, some of you didn't know it was Joe. Some of you have never heard of Joe. You've just started watching my videos and you haven't watched any videos that included Joe. And, you know, some of you were happy it was Joe. Some of you were not happy it was Joe. It was all over the place. And then I did a follow-up video, you know, explaining, and I think in that video, and I haven't watched it, but I did a lot of editing. I recorded for almost an hour that day. I was at Skylar's therapist, and I started recording as soon as she got out of the car, and she usually gets out a good 10 minutes before her appointment, and I recorded almost until just before she came out, and which is about an hour because she's early. So I know I had 50-something minutes worth of footage, and it ended up being 29 minutes, 28 and almost 29 minutes. A lot of stuff gets cut out, and I know there was a part in there where I said some stuff, and then I said a lot more stuff, and I didn't want to say all that more stuff. It was getting too personal again, and which I'm trying really hard to back away from, and I'll explain that too. So I had to, you know, take a bunch out of there, and there's bunches taken out here and there. And sometimes stuff gets cut out that, had it been in, would have made more sense. But it gets cut out, and I just assume people know me and they're going to know what I'm talking about. But anyway, what ended up happening is quite a few people left comments really pissed off at me because they thought, or they think, that the whole thing over 2 months ago where I said Joe and I were apart was all just made up to get privacy. And no, I didn't make that up. When I had that video out there, and I took it down now because now everybody's going to watch it again, and I don't want people to be thinking that that was fake. It wasn't fake. Joe and I were not together. I was careful not to use the words broken up because I didn't know what we were, but we weren't together. There's backstories to all of this. And it's not that I don't want to share it. It's that it's not my story to share. You know, everybody's like kind of mad at me because I'm in the dark about certain things. I'm pretty open and honest about my life with you guys, right? But Joe's life is his life, and he is very open and honest. And if you happen to go to an AA meeting where he is, you'll hear him talk. You'll hear him tell all kinds of things. And he would be willing to let me talk about anything, but I'm not willing to be the one to talk about his life when I know he's very capable of talking about his own life. And you know, eventually, maybe, I don't know. See, the thing is, I'm very protective of others. I don't like other people in my life to get shit comments, you know? And I don't think it's necessary that you guys know everything about Joe or everything about our relationship. But I do want you guys to know that I did not in any way mean to have you guys think from this current video that the video over 2 months ago where I said we weren't together, I don't want you guys thinking that was just a hoax or a way for me to get views. I've had people say horrific things about it. One started by calling me fucktard. I thought that was kind of cute. She had a lot to say, and it was all about, like, how dare I dangle things and then don't go on and tell you everything, and then use Joe in this way, use Joe in that way. Everything I said in that previous video that is now down, and there was one immediately after it that I know I talked about Joe some more in defense, defending him for some of the things that people were saying. I don't need that there anymore. I don't need, to be telling you guys the mean things people said about Joe. I just don't. So that was all real. I didn't fake cry. I was very, very sad. I did not know where I stood and how I felt about us at that time. And we were apart. And yes, I was taking care of Rocket. You can make all the assumptions you want. I will say it had nothing to do with either one of us relapsing. I didn't start drinking. He didn't start drinking. He didn't start drugging. None of that. We talked almost every day, and we took that time to just try to get to know each other a little bit better. We both agreed that we wanted to be together, but there were just some things, not major things, and most of it was me. I am very used to living alone or with my mother, which, that's a whole different dynamic. Even though I was sober for many years, living with my mother kept me in a toxic environment. I have not done as much work as Joe has in his sobriety of 27 years, clean and sober, 27 years, and goes to AA regularly. And I have learned that AA is helpful above and beyond anything to do with drinking, at least for me. If there's one thing I could say for people out there who might just like to make some friends who they have something in common with, even if you've been sober for a very long time and you never went to an AA meeting, I think many could still benefit by going. I know I have. I'm so glad that Joe invited me to go to an AA meeting with him, very early on. And there are many different meetings. Some I don't care to go to again, some of the groups. Some I really, really like. And I'm trying to hold back from making attachments, because I get attached even to other women as friends. And then, I don't want to put myself in a position to be hurt by people who will never really be in my life. I don't want that kind of friendship. I know it sounds very weird. I like a place that I can go and listen to people and that I can talk, and I do talk sometimes, and it just feels good. And there's things I don't agree with about AA. They say it's not about God, but they mention God constantly, and I'm just not comfortable with that. But it's the God of your understanding and a higher power. I don't even agree with higher power of anything. That's just not my thing. So I just have to let that go, because the things that I do get out of AA, I really appreciate. And it can be just about how when we are sober, I personally did not really work on all the reasons I drank. I mean, I know the drinking was out of my control because I started drinking so young. Booze was obviously introduced to me as a child. And so I didn't make that decision to be a drunk. I just grew up with it, and it stuck with me. And again, I know I'm repeating myself a lot here, but for the last 10 years of my drinking, I wanted to quit, and I just couldn't. And then eventually I did. I did. I hooked up with my alcoholic husband, and he was forced to quit drinking. He didn't succeed at it, and I quit. I was tired of just drinking all the time at home alone. We didn't go to bars, we didn't go out. And so he didn't get sober and he died from it, and I got sober and I'm still alive. And it never dawned on me that, and I did go to some AA meetings with him at the beginning, and I didn't like them at all. I wanted to drink after leaving. I didn't, but it made me want to drink. And, you know, I was like, I'm not going someplace that makes me feel like drinking. But I have been sober a long time now, and I can hear all the booze stories there are. It doesn't tempt me. I can go to bars. It doesn't tempt me. So I'm in a very good place there. But when I listen to other people talk and the work they did, including Joe has been very helpful to me with that. That if we don't work on, I find it hard to say work on why I drank. I know I drank because I was introduced to it and I didn't really have a choice. But I can work on why I stayed with it for so long, and for just the life I had in a toxic relationship with my mother, and siblings who were older. So I was like an only child with siblings. You know, there was such a big difference, 12 years between me and my sister, and then my brothers were a little older than her. I'm set in my ways, and as much as I absolutely love living with Joe, and we are living together still, as we were very early on, and some people said it was too soon, and that had nothing to do with any of it. I'm grateful that we had the time to be together and be that tight, you know, in just traveling back and forth from his place to my place, and then just him coming here. That all worked, I think, the way it needed to work. And then we had a little time that we had, you know, a chance to think and just decide on what we really wanted and what we wanted to work on. He's very, very open to working on things. I mean, he's so understanding. I'm the one who can just like turn from everything's wonderful to all of a sudden that's it, because I'm so triggered by things that I had in my relationship with my mother. And it doesn't mean that it's okay to be like that. It's not. But now that's what I want to work on. I want to work on why I still act like I did as a child. As a child, I had tantrums. I was petrified as a child. I had so much fear over so many things. And my mother used to actually scare me on purpose. You know, it was horrible, and you don't just snap out of that. And I do understand that my mother was mentally ill in her narcissistic personality disorder, mental disability, or whatever. And I understand all that, but I've never really taken the time. And guess why? Why I didn't take the time to work on it is because I had my mother up until almost 2 years ago. And the first almost whole year after she died, I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had to get clothes. I wanted to go out. You know, I just wanted to work on myself. And then in that way, just to try to have a life. And I didn't know how to do that. And then I jumped into this life of dancing and going out. And then I took that to an extreme. And then I wanted to kind of level that out. Started seeing guys, was on dating sites. And it was all a whole different world to me. So I wasn't really working on the things that made me who I am. I just was working on who I wanted to be, right? So I had this whole new Darlene, and it was exciting, and you guys were excited for me, and it was just all so fun and exciting. But then when things would go wrong, I didn't have any way to deal with that, because I didn't learn about relationships or friendships or anything as a drunk. And then when I quit drinking, I had nobody in my life on purpose. I didn't want that. I didn't want it. So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of you assumed that Joe was the problem. And Joe has never, ever, like, even called me a bad name or just, like, tell me I suck. I mean, He's not that. I, on the other hand, I've used some of my special words. And again, I hate to even talk about how I am in this relationship, because then that, in a backhanded way, brings Joe into it. This is like therapy right now for me. Joe will be okay with everything I'm saying right now. It's not just me, though. You know what I mean? We both have things. Joe has some insecurities because of his past relationships. I didn't really have past relationships. My relationships were, as a teenager and in my 20s. And then my husband, while I was, like 40 or 39, I think, when we hooked up. And and so that was a different period. We were both drinking very, very heavily. And then it was this past year that I went out with a few guys. And it was fun, and I learned something from each one of those relationships, or situationships, as I guess is the proper word for these things now. And I learned a lot from just chatting with different men. And when I met Joe, I did not expect it to work out. He was far away, and I was just like, hey, he wants to meet me. It'll be another learning experience. He says he could come down on weekends, and I was like, okay, we'll give this a try. And it wasn't long that, the first day we went out, we did more things together than all the other guys put together. He took me out, and especially like in the first week, he took me out to eat, took me to 2 fairs. He took me, that was probably over a period of 2 weeks. But you know what I'm saying. Even that first day, we went to Dollar Tree together. We went and fed ducks together. He brought my packages in the post office for me. He opens my car door. He does things that I've never had in my life. He was very, not letting me pay for anything. Didn't even want me to pay for my own gas or the meat that I was buying. It was just all, the focus was on, bought me flowers repeatedly until, I guess it got old enough that, that I had flowers for a long time. And I still have the baby's breath and the last bunch of roses that I got. And I can't bring myself to throw them out. And, so we joke now that he can get me some artificial flowers, because then they'll last a long time. I like artificial flowers. But anyway, he did a lot of really cool things, and I fell for him quick, because I do that. I know really early on if it's something I want to pursue or if this guy is just not for me. And I knew that he was, even though he was the things that I said I didn't want, he's not 6'2". I like tall, even though I'm a shrimp. He's younger than me by 6 years. He had the long hair, but it wasn't white. I kind of liked white hair, but I didn't care. I didn't care about the hair that's brown. And, he just, Anyway, I fell for him. He fell for me pretty quick. He never strayed from that. I'm the one that kept going in and out with, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, because I don't trust my decisions, because I was brought up to think that I don't know what I'm doing. Now, do I trust myself with, is he honest? Is he kind? Is he this? That, I'm very good at finding the red flags. Very, very good. And even Skylar and I talked about the red flags. I went through red flags with him and another one that I was seeing at the time. And, we had fun with that. And she's like, you got to go with Joe. I was like, okay. And, but then I wasn't, I just wasn't sure. And when I would start to get in that mood, it would kind of like push him away. And so, we had a little bit of that, but we talked about it for a long time. And we are so good at both wanting to work on finding the best ways to be together. We both want to be together. That's all there is to it. And anyway, so because I know that we want to be together and that we're going to be together, YouTube is a big part of my life. And I would like him to be in some of my videos, like he has made an appearance. So I was like, okay, when we had our time apart, I had decided, let's not talk about the fact that we're trying to work on this. Let's just keep this whole relationship out of the picture. That's why you didn't hear about him. Because I didn't want to just say, oh, hey, yeah, you know, the breakup lasted less than a week and we're back together. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be sure. And I wanted to be able to, you know, work on things with him and not rush it. And I don't care what you guys think. The majority of you understand what I'm saying and are on board with letting me have some privacy. And again, remember, it's not just my life here, it's his. And if he wants to get on video and talk about his life, that's great. Again, I want to give it some more time though, because it's my channel. You know, if he has his own channel and wants to talk, I don't care. But I want to protect myself too. I don't want all kinds of things on my channel that I have to look back at and maybe, you know, take down or something, you know. Because I'm never sure. I'm never sure. Because I understand that things happen. And Joe, if you're watching this, you know, I hate for him to think, you know, you think negative. No, I think realistically. And it, you know, I'm just going with the flow here. I know that we're both working on this, and it's not, like I said, it's not difficult things. To me, it's little things like him buying the expensive brand of something at the store. I can lose my mind over shit like that. It's not my money. It doesn't matter. He has the right to shop like he's been doing all his 57 years, right? He doesn't need somebody like me to start changing that, just like I don't want him to change things that I do. See, it's those kind of things. It's not like red flags that, oh my God, I got to get away from this, and I want to stay with it. It's I believe, you know, normal things, especially when you're older and you live alone for a long time. I'm set in my ways in many ways. I'm just now, after months, getting comfortable with other food in my refrigerator. And it's not even so much the food. It doesn't tempt me. His food does not tempt me. It's the fact that my refrigerator's a little bit full. It's not like a minimalist's refrigerator of a carnivore anymore. And that's okay. It's okay that he eats margarine, right? Not butter. I grew up in the period of margarine, but when I realized that margarine is just, you know, filled with shit, even though I was obese, I still cared about not putting junk like that in me. I was like, oh, margarine, I'll eat butter, thank you. Who would have ever thought that I'd have permission freely from the carnivore world to eat all the butter I fucking want? You don't know how happy that makes me. Because I used to eat slices of bread with butter. I could eat a whole loaf of bread with butter, pieces of butter, and the butter was so good. And I was like, God, it's the butter here that's killing me. It's not the whole grain, 7-grain bread that I bought that's killing me. That's a little bit healthy for me, right? It's the butter. I'm eating all this butter. I'm going to die of a fucking heart attack. And now it's only the butter that I eat, not the bread. So that's pretty cool. But it's things like that we're working on. And I myself, I can turn off like that. And it's because when it gets to, I'm the anxious type. He's the anxious type too. But I think we're both a little bit anxious avoidant, because the minute either one of us has that, like, oh, is something going wrong? Is there tension between us? We both just want to shut down. But then I don't quite shut down. So I can tend to escalate things and make them worse. The part that I kind of might have sounded like in that other video that is now down made it sound a little bit like that part was a joke, No, the part where Joe was in bed with Rocket was the part that, you know, I was like, oh, let's just start sneaking you in. And we had some funny ideas. But after the whole Joe in bed with Rocket on the bed, now I was just anxious because everybody started talking about Joe again, and I thought, oh, let's just, we could have done a selfie at the bar, and I ended up not. I was like, I don't know. See, because that's the other dynamic, is that everybody who sees us here in the stores, if we go to a bar, people know us now. So I had this like double life going. Me and Joe, not still private because people do know us. Joe got approached a couple weeks ago at Dan McGinnis by a complete stranger saying, you are in videos with Darlene, your blue eyes, right? They still, and he said, yes, so there's still not a privacy like that when we go out, but it's, it certainly cuts a lot of the audience out if I don't talk about things on YouTube. And the other thing is my patrons and my YouTube members, the people who pay to get daily chats from me and the free ebooks and the sales, my fabric sales, they have been they were still kept in the dark, but I have been talking about Joe longer with them than I did with the general audience of YouTube. And again, that's my right. I know that I'm on YouTube, but that doesn't mean, and yes, and I expect all the stuff that comes my way. I expect all of that, the good, the bad, the ugly, the awesome. I know that that's all part of it. But what people don't understand is it doesn't make those out there entitled. You're not entitled to every bit of my life. So I am going to continue to share my life with Joe. And if there's ever a time that ends, I'm not saying that I expect that or that I want that. I'm just saying if that were to happen, I'll just bow out again. And, I'm comfortable with it all. I do not regret talking about him or any of the others. I don't regret it. I feel like it's all part of my new journey of becoming an adult, hopefully in a non-toxic way. I think I didn't pick right at the beginning. I know I didn't. I never need to be with somebody who drinks, never. And now that I have a taste of this, being with somebody who shares a drunken, drug-addicted past, at least we have something in common, and that is very, very good for us to have something in common. That it's not good for us that we both happen to have that in common. It's not good that we did those things, but it is good for us to be together. I don't know how to explain it. We can understand the other person better. That's all I'm trying to say. We have that in common, so it's easier for us to understand it. And I hope, did I cover everything? I think I covered everything and maybe too much. So I wasn't pretending when I was very, very sad. I was crushed. And again, I'm not trying to keep the backstory from you. It's not my story to tell. I'm good with everything. Joe is good with everything. We're just happy, and he's still a diabetic, and we still have that to deal with too. That a lot of people were getting on my nerves because they either said I wasn't doing enough or that I shouldn't be doing any of it. It was all over the place. But yeah, we're still going through that. We spent, I don't know if it was a week ago or two or whenever, a whole night in the ER together. We got home at 5 a.m. He's had episodes, I had to call an ambulance. He's had episodes of, just being very low sugar with me, like he always has. He's still funny as fucking shit when he's like that. And some people didn't like it when I would say what he said, the silly things he would say to me, like E3 means E4. Remember that one? And he's just adorable and cute, but I know what to do. I am very used to it. I don't get scared when his sugar's low. I just get him his juice and with added sugar and all that. And again, he's brittle diabetic, so it can go up and down really, really quick. And just yesterday we come in from wherever we went out, to the store, wherever. We go out all the time. And I came into my office and I sat down and I thought I heard something. And it was just like, I don't know, something. But I didn't think it was that Joe fell. But anyway, so I'm glad I got up to go do something else. And when I go and live, I'm like, what are you doing? He had fallen into a box. And he had like one arm up on the little table and stuff. And I could tell immediately that his sugar had just dropped drastically because he's got that glazed look in his eyes. And he doesn't remember falling. He doesn't remember. He asked me today, he said, you said I fell? He goes like, where? And I showed him the box and everything. And he said, how did I get up? I said, I kind of got you to your knees. And then you were able to get up using the couch, and I was pulling on your belt to try to lift you. And he doesn't remember those things. And then last night, I'm in my sewing room, and I was crocheting my practice piece to see what stitches I want to do for the next crochet block. And he was in bed. And it was a little bit later. It was past his bedtime. And I hear him move, and I hear him get up. And, he comes in, and I'm sitting at the table crocheting, and his hair, it's all in his face. That's his, like, low sugar look. I don't know what he does. I fucking love it. I think he is, like, wild man with that hair in his face. So his hair is all a mess, and he walks up to my table, and I can tell that look, and he goes, honey. I go, what? He goes, and he looked like he was going to cry. I thought he was going to drop some awful news on me or something. And he goes, I don't know how to crochet. And I started laughing. I was like, oh my God, Joe. And he goes, no, I really don't know how. I don't know how, and I won't be able to help you. And I was like, that's okay. You helped me enough. And then I said, let's go. Let's bring you back to bed. So it's just so, that's all I could think about today is how he was, in his mind, he was concerned about me crocheting and he couldn't help me because he didn't know how. But yes, again, I don't know what else to say. I don't want to like give you timelines, you know, things like that. Just know that I did not lie in that first video. And that video was probably 3 or 4 days in. So we kind of bounced back not too long after that. But at the time, I didn't even know what to say. I didn't know I could. I thought I would just be bawling the whole time, and I couldn't. But people were asking, how come you're not talking about Joe anymore? So I said, I've got to let them know that we're not together. And that's how I worded it, that we're not together. I didn't say we broke up, we're done, it's over, I'm never seeing him again. And then everybody speculated as to why I still had Rocket. And again, there is a timeline, and I'm not getting into that. For those of you who actually know like the whole story, you know, things happened over time. I'm just going to say that. I just wanted to keep it quiet so we could just work on things and not have to regret having said something on a video that I might have to take back because, oh, we're back together. Oh no, we're not. Oh, I didn't want to do all of that. I just didn't. But we spent a lot of really good time talking, and I love that about him, that I can talk to him about stuff, and we do enjoy each other. We have fun. We have fun with simple things. We like to make puzzles. I've started another one, and this one we're going to show you little bits and pieces of, like, from the beginning, like opening the box. We've done that little part, and then I might record every now and then. Right now I have to set up another table because I don't have enough room for the pieces on one. And yeah, so I'm so happy to have someone. That's what I wanted. Somebody who liked to do things with me. Somebody who wanted to actually be with me and enjoy me. Because that helps, right? If they like you. I didn't really have that. last year, and I have it now, and I'm telling you, he treats me very, very nice. He's like my father. I mean, I have said that before. My father was a very nice man, very nice man. And he put up with my mother. And did he, raise his voice to my mother? You bet he did. Because she was tough. I don't know how he put up with her all those years. But he did, and he loved her, and she loved him. And I loved my father very, very much. And Joe reminds me so much of him, even the way he stands and everything. There's just so many things. So I think you can tell. That I'm happy, right? And I just want to be happy with YouTube. Also, I want you guys to, be... most of you are so incredibly understanding and supportive in so many ways, so many things. And the fact that I hear people tell me that I helped them in one way or another, even if it's just because you started crocheting again, or because you started carnivore and your arthritis pain is gone, or if you have a narcissist in your life and you recognize that because of me in my Growing Up Crazy channel. There's a lot of ways that people have told me I help them, even if it's just by making them laugh. And that feels very, very good. So I have no desire to step away from that. I just need to keep a balance with my channel, just like a balance in my life. And some of you are mad now I'm not going out dancing as much. Oh, it brings me such pleasure to know that we're going to be working on a puzzle tonight. I love that. I really do like just hanging out with Joe. I really do. And so again, I hope I explained myself enough. And the only thing I was joking about was showing him with Rocket and being sneaky. I didn't think people would be pissed off at that. I really didn't. I thought everybody would just get it, like, haha, she's back with Joe and she'll talk about it when she wants. But no, I almost feel like reading that horrible, it's hilarious. It's so bad that it's good. But I hate, I never let it go out live, but I saved it. I hate to sometimes give my platform to those who are just above and beyond nuts, with what they say. I know they do it to get under people's skin, not just mine, but it's just like above and beyond. But it started with fucktard, so you're a fucktard, I think. Let me look for the hell of it if there's anything else I want to tell you about in that comment. Hang on. Okay, I'll just read the first line. You've turned into a real fucktard. And it's all about how I only give part of the information. All right, you guys, I know I'm forgetting something, but I just got fabric and I'm gonna go over to my table. Joe is actually sleeping right now. He's taking a nap with Rocket. And that's it. I'm anxious to, just get back to normal and talk about Joe whenever I feel like it. And he'll make appearances whenever he feels like it. And you're free to think what you want, right? Someday, maybe. Someday you'll know more. I don't know. It's not my concern right now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.